America's possibilities are limitless, for we possess all the qualities that this world without boundaries demands. Youth and drive, diversity and openness, an endless capacity for risk, and a gift for reinvention. My fellow Americans, we are made for this moment, and we will seize it so long as we seize it together.
Around you and you see the many faces. You
the people,
but you don't know.
Understand that our country cannot succeed when a shrinking few do very well and a growing many barely make it. We, the people, still believe that every citizen deserves a basic measure of security and dignity. We, the people, still believe that our obligations as Americans are not just to ourselves, but to all posterity. We, the people, still believe that enduring security and lasting peace do not require perpetual war. We, the people, declare today that the most evident of truths, that all of us are created equal, is the star that guides us still. Just as it guided our forebears through Seneca Falls and Selma and Stonewall, just as it guided all those men and women, sung and unsung, who left footprints along this great mall, to hear a preacher say that we cannot walk alone, to hear a king proclaim that our individual freedom is inextricably bound to the freedom of every soul on earth.
Absolutely. Yes, indeed. Oh, yes, indeed. Hello, everybody. Hello. Good evening. Welcome back. I know we weren't with you last Tuesday. Your girl, Brenda White, has been a little busy, but I am back in town now and ready to go. And my new co-host stepping in and handling Miss Uppity Spot is with me, too. So welcome to Let's Talk About It, y'all. We're getting ready to get to it. We are Spreaker's #1 political talk show for the most informative. Yes, we are. I am the wild and wonderful Brenda White, coming to you live from the city beautiful Orlando, Florida, where it is 85 degrees and sunny. I have not had a bolt of lightning pop my butt today, or thunder and rain throw me out the bed or whatever. So I am delighted to be here. Well, I'm delighted to be in Florida, no matter what. I mean, we can take that little hour of shower and thunder and rain and stuff every now and then. But a great day, and helping me to talk about it and always helping to keep you informed. My co-host, Barry K. Jackson. He is known as the Funkmeister.
Yeah, we can go with that one.
There is the Funkmeister for 90.1 FM KKFI, and I'm delighted that he is interested in politics, what's happening in our world, and I mean what's really happening in our world. We love our music. We thank everybody that gave us music, but what's happening right now is really, really something that's going to affect our lives. And so that's why I started this show. That's why I do it. That's why I rant and talk about all these subjects. Welcome to the chat room, my daddy Boo Boo, a.k.a. David Capers, and that wild train ride called the Razor Blade Express. If you just got off of it, child, I'm glad you made it. Because I know it was rough. Go on back there in the back, put your wig and your panties back on, and come on out here, because he will make you lose them. But we are ready to talk about it. We're going to be talking today a little bit about Moral Mondays as they heat up and start sweeping the country. Barry, they're going to be trying to take this thing state to state.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, it is. And I'm delighted about it, because what's happening in North Carolina is happening everywhere, basically, that there's a Republican governor or House or, Senate in these different states. And, they all got their little plans, especially about our vaginas. Them freaks, I swear. Mm-hmm. Anthony Weiner, well, I don't know. I started to say he ain't got nothing on them. But all they're continuing to do is pass laws to keep us from receiving any type of birth control, passing laws to keep us from having abortions, passing laws to keep us from having sex. It's just them. It's all about them. But we can't do it.
Oh, yeah.
Rand Paul called Chris Crispy the king of bacon. What's up with that? Okay, and then we're going to be talking a little bit about Rush Limbaugh. He is consistently losing sponsors. Still quietly losing sponsors after calling that young lady Sandra Fluke a hoe and a slut. Y'all remember that? Well, he's still losing sponsors, and I'm glad to hear it. Someone sponsored about 40 of his shows a year and gave him a nice chunk of money, and that will come to an end. That will be no more. Okay.
Well, I believe that's Cumulus Radio, the Cumulus Radio Corporation that owns a lot of stations in the country.
Yes, that's right. Not 40 of his shows, but they sponsored 40 of the radio stations that he broadcast through, or something to that matter. And they're dropping him.
Well, they're not only that he not only apparently doesn't mind dragging other people down with him, because alongside Rush being dropped by Cumulus, also Fox's own Sean Hannity.
Said what?
That's right.
Wait, say that again. Sean Hannity is what?
Sean Hannity is also being. They're talking about also dropping Sean Hannity along with Rush.
Oh, that same radio station.
That same radio corporation.
Well, amazing. I can't say that I'm shocked. Why? I don't know if Bill O'Reilly has a radio station, but I don't listen to him. But if anybody's thinking about dropping him, that would be a really good thing.
Well, here in Kansas City, we had a station that carried all three of them, and I believe. Not, here in the last several years, Bill got dropped first.
Uh-huh.
So it was, I guess it only it's going to be a domino effect. As long as they, all you have to do is just let them run their mouth.
Yeah, that's all you have to do, Barry. They have no shame. And, what is it? What a man speaketh from his mouth cometh from his heart. Isn't that some kind of Bible verse? Or something.
I know there is, as a man speaketh, so is he.
Yes. So, when these people try to come back and say, I'm sorry to mean it, yes, they did. Yes, they did, because Barry, things that come out of my mouth, now, sometimes I try to make sure that they come out the right way, or I make sure that that I'm joking. Like, I have a lot of jokes here about my white folks. I always, not particularly here, but sometimes here, quite a bit here. But I have it a lot on my Up All Night with Brenda White. But I mean for it to come out that way, and I mean for them to know that it's a joke. I also mean for them to understand that I love all my brothers and sisters, white, black, otherwise. But if I hear Bill O'Reilly one more time, Barry, if I hear him one more time lecture the black community, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Well, for that matter, first of all, I want to say I try to not say anything I'm afraid to repeat.
Okay, I agree.
First place, try and be prepared to back it up with facts, or at least be able to give some background that will definitely, it's not going to be based on emotion, because I'm going to say, first of all, I don't care about how you feel about anything. Show me what you can prove. If the truth can withstand any kind of scrutiny, no matter what angle you come from. Mm-hmm. So it's just better to speak the truth and be able
Be able to
back up what you say.
Yeah.
And fix it where you don't have to apologize for what you say.
Absolutely, Barry. Now, if you want to elaborate.
Let's face it. Because if you come to me and say, well, I'm offended by what you said, well, I'm going to tell you, too bad.
Yeah, because I meant what I said. I meant to say it. And if it sometimes others get offended. But Barry, usually when I say something, 99.999% of the time, I meant what I said. Now, if I need to elaborate on that, I'll elaborate on it. But 9.99999% of the time, I meant what I said. And just like I believe that Rush Limbaugh and Bill O'Reilly and Sean Hannity, they don't know a damn thing about living in a black community, a black household, and nothing else. And he's constantly commenting on how we raise our kids and shit. It's kind of getting on my nerves.
Well, let's look at, and let's not let the dry drunk Glenn Beck off the hook.
What you call it, Barry?
The dry drunk.
The dry drunk.
That's former addict.
Well, Barry, since he got booted from TV and went to the internet, now he could be back up on TV. There are so many thousands of stations, but I could only watch him about 10 minutes out of a day. And the time that I started to watch him 10 minutes out of a day, I may have seen 2 to 3 shows, somewhere in there, and he was speaking on this particular segment of his show about the Rockefeller building where he was broadcasting from had subliminal messages engraved in the stone. That was the last time I saw him speak on TV. After that, I think they realized this sumbitch is cuckoo.
So let me ask you, what style did he have his tinfoil hat made into? Was it a ball cap or a fedora?
It was the pointy hat.
Okay.
It was the pointy hat because he was getting all the signals. But let me go on and run down through what else we're going to try to talk about a little bit. Well, of course, we're going to talk about just a little bit tonight. Jackie, she's still kind of involved, even though she can't be here like she wants to. She still has to call me and say, "I'm B. Did you see this story? And you got to do this." So she was so, how do they say it, taken aback by Governor Rick Perry, the governor of the great state of Texas, about his comments on abstinence. And I'm not going to try to repeat what he said. I'm going to play it for you because Miss Uppity uploaded it into the studio because she had to have us talk about it. But I think that I already got a clue of what it's all about because David Capers just wrote into the chat room, "Hey, Love Muffin, how you doing, baby? Welcome to the chat room." One of the many white girls that I love on this earth. David Capers just wrote, "Governor Rick Perry lost his damn mind." I'm in shock. So I'm glad that Jackie, Miss Uppity, thought of this story too and called me today and uploaded it to the studio for me because apparently that's on some of our listeners' minds. And you know how they love to get in this chat room and crack. Let me open up another window here too so that I can see the chat room and read it at my own pace because it starts to fly at sometimes.
Brenda, I just want to, after you play that, I want to play some of his greatest hits.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we're going to be talking about Governor Rick Perry and his great, and he's always making a great comment. You know how intellectual he is. So he's done it again. And we're going to tell you, we're going to talk a little bit about Anthony Weiner. I don't know what to say about Anthony Weiner. He's the freak of the week. He's the freak of the week, of the month, of the year. This boy is sick. And he's still sick. Now, I talked about him. We didn't do the show last Tuesday night. And I talked about him on the Thursday night show, Up All Night with Brenda White. And I got to cracking my jokes about him showing his Johnson all over the internet. And you would have thought he was finished, but he had done, I think, 3 interviews in a row daily. From Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And now he's right back, just flapping his mouth. And he is looking more like a meth head than ever to me each day that goes by. I don't know what's happening to him. Is he over-exercising? Is he anorexic? What? But just keep on sending his pee-pee via text messages throughout the internet. Here's what I suggest about that, Barry. I want to suggest that, well, wait, I'm going to hold my suggestion. Let me finish giving the rundown. I get so excited. The minute I say the topics that we're going to be talking about tonight, I get excited and I start talking about it before I finish my rundown. Okay, Barry brought this issue to me. I was out of town, but I did happen to catch Don Lemon himself. Y'all know Don Lemon. He's one of the studio head talking heads. Has a show on CNN. He was molested and all that sort of stuff. Black guy. Okay, I did see him myself Saturday in my hotel room on TV as he decided to talk to us about wearing hoodies and your pants under your ass and all that kind of stuff. And I really did not have a problem with him talking about that because I'm kind of old school, and I talk to all of my hip hop babies and everything about pulling your damn pants up. If you want me to represent you, pull your damn pants up. I don't want to see your ass, not even if you're wearing polo shorts. I really don't. And Don Lemon pointed out Saturday that this is a signal that was started in prison for those inmates who will let other inmates do them in the bootay. So for all you young hoodies, okay, you don't want to send that signal. But, I love the free speech and all that we have in America. And as much as I love to see our young men pull their pants up over their boots, I don't care about your pants being baggy, but pull them up over your ass. This is really affecting your walking, as you can see. A doctor, a podiatrist, or whatever, they talked about how these young men were setting their walking, and it is. You're going to always walk stupid like that. If you do it every single day, it's affecting you. And you're going to be walking silly like that when you're 90. But I hope by then you'll pull your pants up. But Don Lemon went on to name a list of things, which I grew up as a child with our pants. But, Barry, we had a lot to prove back then. And I think it's relevant today. But, black people were always thought of, like Indians, nasty, ignorant, not a full human being. We were what, Barry? 3/5?
3/5 of a human, according to the Constitution.
Yeah, 3/5 of a human. So we were always considered to be ignorant, and they left us raggedy and nasty as slaves and blah, blah, blah. So
they never really wanted us to have nuclear, what they call the traditional family.
yeah, they didn't want us to have that.
So to blame our community for talk about single parent family or families and all of that. They never wanted mother and father to be together.
Which one of those fools did I hear saying that on Fox, Barry? Was it Sean Hannity or Bill O'Reilly?
Repeat your question again.
I said, which one of those fools you said they never really wanted us to have the traditional family? I heard one of those Fox fools talking about that.
Well, now,
and it really rubbed me the wrong way.
You're catching me flat-footed on that because I like news, so therefore I don't turn.
You're right. I don't either. And let me tell you how I get these little Fox bits.
Let me say this: it's when you say Fox News, I say news with a small n.
Yes, and he calls it fixed news. I just happened to be watching my favorite news show, because they will call you out whether you're Republican or Democrat, which is MSNBC, and they showed this clip. Bill O'Reilly continuously giving the black neighborhood advice. And he spoke on that issue of us not, knowing anything about having traditional families. Are you crazy? I mean, just crazy. Okay, enough said about him. Okay, so Barry's going to hit me up with this info on Don Lemon and Bill O'Reilly. He says that Don Lemon was on Bill O'Reilly's show again. I wouldn't know because I don't watch that mess. Okay.
Well, let me clarify. He wasn't on the O'Reilly factor. Actually, what he did was not only agree with Bill O'Reilly, but said that Bill O'Reilly didn't go far enough.
Oh, then that may have been the same show that I saw. I saw Don Lemon's show Saturday, right. And here he was just using the N word with the ER.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't even know how to say "igga"? You don't even know how to say the A? And they're calling each other nigger. Don Lemon, if you don't get off this TV, the least you could do is use it with an A for us.
Actually, what he was doing was letting Massa know that Nat Turner was going to be coming to the mansion.
Let Massa know. Let Massa know.
Massa, he's coming to free the field slaves.
He was a bit overboard. I mean, he was just really giving us a good what for. Just before we came on the air on one of my favorite MSNBC shows, someone was talking about the white on white, the crime, the drinking, the things that they are doing on college campuses.
I believe that's All In with Chris Hayes.
Yes, it was All In with Chris Hayes, and this is something that they don't talk about. I got this mentioned to me twice immediately following the Zimmerman verdict by two white people on Facebook. Y'all, what y'all really need to be talking about is the black on black crime in your neighborhoods, but you don't talk about that, do you? Well, I've never had any black on black crime in my neighborhood, not never, not since I grew up. But I know what you're saying. You're talking about the black folks in our black neighborhoods. So I'll claim that. Yes, we do talk about it. We talk about it a lot. We are having mentoring seminars and sessions going out throughout the country. You don't know anything about that because you don't listen to our news. You don't listen to Tom Joyner and Steve Harvey and to the president and what he's trying to tell you.
Well, more to the point, they don't participate in the conversation with us because they don't want to be in a conversation. They can't dominate. Okay.
And since you don't know anything about us and us having these conversations with our young men, but I blame this all on you because here it is again. I cannot get my head around what do they think is going to happen, Barry, if they take away birth control methods of any and all kind. They don't even want us to have birth control pills anymore. They're stopping abortion. they want you to have all these babies that they don't want to offer to feed them. What does and here's the most important thing, they are blocking any funds for education. They're cutting schools and education and programs and meal on wheels. I don't know what they're doing other than, if they're going to make you have all these babies that you and I can't feed, and they either, or don't want to, what's behind this whole thing? And you know what I believe is behind it all, Barry? I really believe that these people are plotting and planning, and I know this is a conspiracy theory, but I don't see anything else that it can be other than, if they don't want you to abort babies, they don't want you to have birth control pills not to have babies, they want you to have the babies, but they don't want to feed the babies, they don't want to educate the babies. So what does that leave you, Barry, with somebody running the street wild? And
a ready source of free labor, basically.
Thank you. You said it. You see, and I have not talked to you about.
They will put the money into building prisons.
That's right. And Barry, now see, that's my conspiracy theory. You and I have never talked about this.
No.
And you got it right away. Now I don't know what else.
Already 53% of the prison population in this country.
I don't know what else, Barry, that you can expect to come out of a non-educated, hungry, no jobs for you, man, black man or woman, white or black. If you know, there are more white people in the country on welfare than there are blacks. And little white boys and girls don't know the difference in hunger. There's no difference in hunger for them and little black boys and little black girls. You're turning out thugs and criminals all the way, because what will a desperate person do?
Well, not only that,
to have something to eat.
They're incarcerated too. You think about the music that they really promote out here for our young people. That basically promotes that type of thing, that thug lifestyle.
They promote it. They promote the clothing, and even in the E-Trade commercials and Betty Crocker and anybody else, they've got the music rolling.
Well,
they think it's cute.
Let's go back to the clothes. Now, a young man's supposed to pull their pants up, but when you put the back pockets all the way down where their thighs are, you're still going to look like you're sagging.
You sure are. And who's making that?
Well,
Tommy Hilfiger. Who? I'm just saying, this is some crazy mess. And last, we'll finish up with a laugh about. Did you see the Sean Hannity? I didn't see it all, of course. I only saw clips because MSNBC showed the clips. But I cannot watch Fox. I cannot listen to that kind of foolishness.
No.
But they showed a clip of him having some kind of a town meeting and all the folks he could get in the room. And they had one woman just a wailing, going all the way off about Anthony Weiner's wife, who was Hillary Clinton's assistant, who had thoroughly strong ties. We're talking about Huma Ahmadid or Weiner, thoroughly strong ties to the Muslim Brotherhood. Now, what information do they?
Well, you have to keep in mind where that first came out.
Yeah, because
a talking point created by, of all people, Michelle Bachmann.
Yes, and she said that half of the Democratic Party. Oh no, she said she said the White House administration were all Muslim Brotherhood members. Yeah, so what else do you expect them to think when they got someone making such an outrageous statement?
All you have to do is look at her, and when I think about her, I think about Chris Matthews on his show Hardball, asking her, "Have you been hypnotized?" He just kept asking, "Have you been hypnotized?"
It's amazing, and I didn't know that you could just actually say that about someone, except that now she called this girl's name, which I just believe if you tell a lie like that, she should be really made to pay for that, Barry. It's
Well,
amazing. But we're gonna talk a little bit about all of these things. But now let's go back to the top and let's get started on Moral Monday turnouts. Okay? Moral Monday turnouts surged in North Carolina as the largest crowds yet once again protest the GOP agenda. I am loving Moral Mondays. Our white brothers and sisters of all ages are turning out and going to jail. Okay, demonstrators flocked to the state capitol in Raleigh, North Carolina on Monday, turning the 13th consecutive weekly gathering into what authorities call the largest protest yet. This week's Moral Monday rally against the state GOP agenda came 3 days after lawmakers left the Capitol for the summer. Without official legislative business, the rally led to little police activity against the type of civil disobedience that has resulted in more than 900 arrests over the past 3 months. But that didn't stop thousands of protesters from joining together to oppose a number of issues championed by Republicans who control both chambers of the state legislature and the governorship. So this was and is getting bigger. This is amazing, Barry. I am tickled pink. WRAL reported that educators turned out in droves to denounce a budget adopted by lawmakers and signed by Governor Pat McCrory, Republican, last week. The bill didn't include raises for the state's teachers, which are already among the lowest paid in the country. It only effectively ended teachers' tenure, eliminating bonuses for educators with higher degrees, and approved a $20 million for opportunity scholarships that opponents say looks like a school voucher system. State Republicans again sought to downplay the significance of the protest, saying Democrats were simply bitter over recent electoral losses. This is the craziest thing. Who's down over electoral losses? Democrats? Really? Y'all won't let it go nowhere. They still cannot accept this defeat. And now they're saying that we are down over losses. I don't get it. We won again. But
you have to remember, they live in a parallel universe.
This is amazing, but I am loving it. We are not ending Moral Monday, North Carolina NAACP President Reverend William Barber said. We are suspending it here and taking it on the road. A tour of all of North Carolina's 13 congressional districts is set to begin next week in Asheville. So they are taking Moral Mondays on the road. And I'm telling you, Barry, it is a beautiful sight to see all the white people out here with all the black people fighting for their rights. I mean, y'all, I don't know how else you can look at it and not see that Republicans who swear by their rights, our constitutional rights, are trying to take ours away. They only wanted to that's for them. We're not going to have any constitutional rights, as I talked about it for over a year, that they were going to mess with that voting situation. This amendment that was revisited by Congress every 25 years. I've been talking about it for 2 years on this show.
Well, and this is the thing that I brought up to Roland Martin, who was a CNN political analyst back in 2008 on his radio show. And he just tried to talk me down, because I kept saying, this thing has to be ratified. If you notice, every time it has to be ratified, it's when a Republican is in office. Mm-hmm. When are we going to work to make this permanent law?
Yeah, why not make it? Why does it have to be ratified, Barry? Why not make it permanent law that we have the full, complete, and total right to vote just like any other man or woman in this country.
And of course, the response was basically, as if to say, well, we just need to get more people's butts down to the polls for this election, meaning the election between Barack Obama and John McCain for Obama's first term. I said that's a band-aid. That's temporary. You saying that if we just go vote for Obama, it's automatically going to become permanent law? Is that what you're saying? Then I got cut off.
Oh, Jackie called me a few weeks ago when the Supreme Court tore this Fifth Amendment for our voting rights apart, leaving us hanging to the states.
You mean Section 5?
Section 5, leaving us hanging to the states to do what they will. And she called me crying. She really cried. And she said, Aunt Brenda, we always laugh and joke that we're political psychics. And we always say, she said, you've been saying for 2 years that why can't this be permanent? Why does the Voting Right Act for us, why does it have to be revisited every 25 years? I said, because I guarantee you at some point they're going to revisit it and they're going to shake up these little rights that we have. And dang, it came. And Jackie said, she sat there just saying, Aunt Brenda's been saying this forever. She's been saying, why else wouldn't you make it a permanent law, Barry? Because you were leaving the time when we might have to shake this up. And they are so devastated over the loss of choosing this black president for a second term. They know they can never win again because there are too many sane white folks and black folks in this country that doesn't think like they do, and they'll never beat us again because we see how crazy they are.
Bear in mind too, it was easy to do that because we're still 3/5 of a human.
In their eyes.
And so for that reason, since we're not complete human beings, it's easy to, come up with, and of course, Texas just couldn't wait.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing as they get ready to start. I can't wait to see what's going to happen when the time comes to vote again. This is an amazing thing to me. And although I saw it coming, it's still amazing to me that they would do it and believe that they are going to get away with it. Thank goodness Eric Holder is going to is asking the federal judges in Texas to put back in place or keep in place this law because Texas is one of the violators of voting rights.
Well, and here's the other thing. This comes about because they just, it just burns them that they can't get African Americans, Latinos, Asians to
vote for them. And if they wouldn't say such offensive stuff about them,
it's not just their hyperbole. It also has to do with the fact that they insist on trying to continue to shove Reaganomics down our throat.
Yep.
No matter how many times they change the buzzwords and the talking points. And by the way, they are involved in Groundswell, which is another effort to change the talking points and the code words in an effort to try to fool African Americans, Latinos, people of color into voting for them. For instance, they've got some initiative that they've named after Frederick Douglass because he was a Republican, and they keep forgetting. They keep going back to that, that slogan that they are the party of Lincoln. Well, you know something? Times have changed, and so have the roles of the parties. And you're still giving me that 160-year-old argument.
Yeah.
That I'm not buying.
And Barry, this is the one I get all the time. Brenda, look at this. Lincoln freed the slaves. Are you serious? This is why I should vote for Romney. Lincoln was a Republican, and he freed the slaves. Martin Luther King was a Republican. My mama and daddy might have been a Republican for a minute too. I know some of my family members were Republicans for a minute too, but that's not the same Republican Party.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know that Martin Luther King was a Republican.
I don't know it either.
What I do know is that he had White House privileges under Democratic presidents.
Well, you know, Barry, but the Republican Party used to stand for different things. They weren't crazy like this always, and that's why they had a few black folks on their side.
Well,
different presidents had different beliefs and thoughts, and so. But you can switch parties anytime you want, as Colin Powell did for the last 2 years.
Well,
he didn't switch parties, but he voted. And like my parents, they didn't switch parties, but they may have voted for a Republican president down the line, because we understand on this side that everybody that says they're a Democrat doesn't believe what we believe in. And if they do crazy crap, and if they are loony of the week and of the month and of the year, you're not getting our vote. Listen, Republicans won't even vote for Michelle Bachmann. She could never win as president. They know she's a nut.
Well, obviously, the fellow you mentioned earlier, Rick, the successionist Oops Perry, couldn't get the nomination. So,
he's never going to get it. But Barry, they are swearing up and down that he is planning on running for president, and that's why he's not running for governor anymore.
Well,
Rick,
they're also speculating about Sarah the Quitter Palin too.
Yeah, Rick, get over it, baby. Sarah Palin, don't even try it. I don't think Alaska's going to elect her for nothing ever again. But you sure as hell don't have an opportunity. You're just going to wear yourself out on the buses for a year.
Well, now what she's going to do is suck as much money out of people's pockets, because
absolutely that's the whole main goal, Barry, because they know just like we know when they can't win. They know when they don't have a damn chance.
Yeah, I just say, let's just go get a job.
But they are really good at that, aren't they? Help stop Obama's. How you gonna stop it? It's a law now. Obamacare. Harris, send money to stop it. They're not, but they're suckers.
Oh, they're trying.
All they got to do.
First of all, they try, and the other thing that they're trying to do is tell young people, don't accept that Obamacare card. Okay, there is no card that you get with Obamacare, unless, of course, you all are printing counterfeit cards with Obamacare on it.
Which we don't put past.
That's what you're doing?
Which we don't put past them to do. It's an amazing thing, and all of these issues is why. All of these issues are why North Carolina started their Moral Mondays. All of this voting rights mess that their Republican House and Senate in North Carolina are passing on them, all these women's rights, abortion rights, all of this stuff is why Moral Mondays have started. And I'm delighted, and I think we need to really start on Facebook and around, y'all, acknowledging it and help to beef it up. I got to look for a Moral Monday website on Facebook. I'm sure they have one, and we need to get over there and like that page, and let's start throwing some weight towards them, because they're getting ready to take this thing on the road. They said that they are going to continue Moral Mondays, even though the House and the Senate there in North Carolina are on break. They don't give a damn.
Yeah.
They're going to keep it up, and they're going to take it across the state, and then I hope across the country. So let me see right now, as we're discussing everything, if they have a Moral Monday Facebook page. And if they do, y'all know what you got to do, right? You got to get on over there and help me. Yes, they do already, and they got 2,400 likes. Let's turn that into 240,000. Okay, so y'all get over to Moral Mondays and like the page. Let me start posting on my Facebook page every day to get over there and like the Moral Monday page. All right, y'all. I see y'all, and we got you. If you want anything, I swear, boy, go make you a Facebook page, right? Okay, so moving down the line. Now, let's get to Rand Paul. We're going to go for 15 more minutes, y'all, and then we're going to take a break. Because I got a couple of ads I got to get in for you tonight, especially on the IRP6. All right? So, let's get to Rand Paul calling Christie the king of bacon. I tell you, if they don't quit messing with each other. Love Muffin has already, I think, retired to bed, but I didn't see this earlier. But she wrote, when I see people wearing their pants halfway off their butts, it makes me want to pull them the rest of the way down. Muffin, I'm sorry I didn't see that earlier. I love it. And as we know, all white people and all black people, all of our children are wearing this crap. We need to talk to all of our children. They act like it's the black kids only, but it's not.
No, it's not.
We need to talk to our kids of all colors. These white boys are looking just as scary as some of our black sons and daughters and nephews and stuff, because they're crazy too. And that's just teenagers, young folks trying to find their identity, trying to fit in. But I let my son know at all times, you will not buy your pants 4 sizes too big. My son can't stand that crap now. You will not turn your hat backwards. And I got that from my mom and dad, their old teachings. I started to say earlier, Barry, that, we had a different kind of upbringing, whereas our parents taught us to always have your clothes clean. Look neat, do this, do that, because they already thought lesser of us.
I love my T-shirt and jeans, but I even press out my T-shirts.
Yeah. We understand. We know that fashion is different, but even then, I won't go over to Walmart in dirty clothes. If I'm cleaning the house and I need something from Walmart, I got to stop and change my shirt and pants or something before I run over there. I got to comb my hair, wash my face. If I don't put on makeup, I'm going to put on a cap or something, but I'm going to look neat and clean and I'm going to smell that way. And our parents insisted on that because they always wanted to say that we were dirty, eagles, and we didn't have any education. But I've been saying for a long time, I just saw on Melissa, it was Rachel Maddow's show last night, but Melissa Harris Perry sat in for her. And she showed this clip on Fannie Lou Hamer. And that was, it was just amazing about how she was talking about she lived on the sharecroppers' land, Massa's land from families before, from slavery, and she went to vote. She went to register to vote. That's what she did. And they made them take a literacy test. And I guess she was testifying before Congress or something.
No, I think she was speaking at a Democratic convention. Yeah,
she was speaking somewhere, and she told all of this stuff that they had to go through just to register. And so then the landowner, she went through with this registry thing. And then the landowner came to her and said, Fannie, I told you that if you go down there to that courthouse to register to vote, that you and your family couldn't stay on my land no more. You remember I told you that? And she said, yes, sir, I do. He said, so you better get back down there and tear that registration card, which, so I won't. And she said, and she was put off the land, she and her family, that night, that day. But I remember Judge Ollie Neal taking me to hear Fannie Lou Hamer speak when I was a little girl, 6 years old or 7 years old. I was always involved in what was happening. My family was involved, and they made us as kids, you know, we weren't out listening to rap music, and we didn't have that, and we weren't out drinking and smoking. It was a different time, and we were always gathered around the evening news to see what Medgar Evers had done, or Martin Luther King, or Fannie Lou Hamer, and the marches that were taking place. You know, we were really listening to that stuff. And so our parents always taught us to dress nice and to clean yourself up and make sure your clothes are fitting you good, so that they will see that you are not some dirty, ignorant, no good, nothing. And so it meant we had pride about it.
But not only that, it just came down to the fact that our parents, you know, they just said, look, when you leave the house, you represent me.
That's right. You represent a whole culture of people.
You know.
And that was put into our heads, wasn't it, Barry? Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, my father was one of the first black realtors in Kansas City. And, you know, whether I was talking with black folks or white folks, you know, thing that once I mentioned who he was, oh yeah, I know him. He sold me my house, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the thing of it is, I had no sense to know I couldn't get out here and act because everybody knew who he was.
Yeah.
And it wasn't nothing for them to, I'm gonna change your father.
That's right. That's exactly that's the era we grew up in. And now if you stop somebody's kid in the neighborhood from doing something, child, you are subject to have to face the knife or the gun.
Yeah.
And I want to say to all of my loving white folks that's listening, we know that happens in y'all neighborhood too.
Absolutely.
Where ignorance is bred, that's going to happen in anybody's neighborhood. I don't care what color you are.
Well, where ignorance is bred, it's going to get exploited.
That's right. And so, you know, every white person I run into and we start a conversation, nail shop, Walmart, anywhere. First thing come out, I've not heard one white person that said, isn't our governor great? I was sitting at the nail shop last week and getting my feet done and watching the news. And there was a white woman in the next seat getting her feet done and stuff. And she looked over at me and she said, he is so embarrassing. We would be so glad when he's gone.
Well, we don't even talk about ours because we don't know if he's a Democrat or Republican. And the people, listen, and the people over in Kansas, you can't get anybody over there that they voted for him.
Yeah, I know that. I know that quite a few white folks here in Florida is ashamed that they voted for Rick Scott. I mean, he came in and cut our schooling in Florida by $2 billion, and then a year later, I was wrong. I'm gonna give y'all $1 billion back, and there's got to be a plot to this whole thing. Every Republican governor is cutting education. They're cutting Meals on Wheels, where old folks who can't cook for themselves anymore, who can't afford food anymore, not getting those hot meals in a day. How cruel what kind of heart do you have to do that? So we know it's a plot and a plan. Okay, but I love it that they're fussing and fighting among each other. Okay, so the feud between two potential GOP presidential contenders, Rand Paul is a presidential, if they say so. Contenders escalated today as Senator Ron Paul, Republican of Kentucky, and New Jersey Governor Chris Christie traded barbs about pork and bacon throughout the day. In an interview on CNN's The Situation Room with Wolf Blitzer, Paul nicknamed Christie the King of Bacon after the New Jersey governor accused him of engaging in pork barrel spending. Of course they engage in it. They love it. This is the King of Bacon talking about bacon, Paul. Bacon talking about bacon, Paul said. It's not helping the party for him to pick a war with me. It's a big mistake. It's not very smart. I don't know why, because he would never lose. Chris Christie will not lose to Ron Paul. And it's not a good way to grow the party, Paul said. Why would he want to pick a fight with the one guy who has a chance to grow the party by appealing to the youth and appealing to people who would like to see a more moderate and less aggressive foreign policy. At a news conference earlier in the day, Christie said Kentucky takes more federal funds than New Jersey and argued that Paul should examine his pursuit of pork barrel spending when finding ways to cut spending. If Senator Paul wants to start looking at where he's going to cut spending to afford defense, maybe he should start cutting the pork barrel spending that he brings home to Kentucky, Christie said. Maybe Senator Paul could, deal with that when he's trying to deal with the reduction of spending on the federal side. But I doubt he would, because most Washington politicians only care about bringing home the bacon so they can get reelected. Absolutely right. Nobody loves pork barrel spending than them. I mean, they are the pimps of this money. Michelle Bachmann, them getting, she and her husband, $169,000, let's call it $170 a year, to pray the gay away at their Pray the Gay Away clinic. Ever heard of any more shit than that? I mean, Barry, who in the hell, show me one person that Pray the Gay Away has cured?
I can't, but one thing I see where Christie was at a panel with Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal, Governor Mike Pence, from Indiana, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker. Apparently, Rand Paul had, go along with further response from Christie about Rand Paul and his insults about Christie knowing nothing about foreign policy. He said, Christie said, these esoteric intellectual debates, I want them to come to New Jersey. And this is somebody he should hear from the families after the 9/11 attack.
Yeah.
He said, just sit across from the widows and the orphans and have that conversation.
Okay.
They won't, because that's a much tougher conversation to have.
Mm-hmm.
The next attack that comes, that kills thousands of Americans as a result, people are going to be looking back on the people having this intellectual debate, wondering whether they put, and Christie just said, he just trailed off. But, keep in mind, and of course, Paul had called him, also called him the Chunky Rhino.
Oh my goodness.
Name also.
What?
Yeah.
Name calling like that? Really?
Yeah. And basically what it amounts to is that, this is kind of endemic of the argument between the establishment Republicans and the Tea Partiers and Libertarians that are part of the that radical right wing of the party.
Well, they are petty now. I mean, they sound like third graders when they start name calling each other.
Oh, absolutely.
It is an amazing thing. But I do at the same time like it that they show that they are not presidential material.
Absolutely.
We don't want these men as president for us, representing us and saying stupid stuff, letting stupid stuff come out of their mouths. I wouldn't be surprised if Christie flipped. I mean, really. Because his Republican Party, they know they need him in order to get people to flip. Some people would flip and vote for him. Democrats.
Well, I mean, they showed themselves when the Senate was to vote on whether or not they would ratify the UN Treaty on Persons with Disabilities, and they brought in former senator and, in fact, former Senate Majority Leader at one time, Bob Dole, and he came in and testified, and they just basically they stood up and put their fingernails while he was talking.
Oh yeah, they really
And Rick Santorum just got up and said, and Rand Paul and several of us got talking about if we ratify this, we're giving up our sovereignty. When in fact the UN treaty, the reason why they brought Bob Dole in was because he and Ted Kennedy got together back in the 90s and came up with the Americans with Disabilities Act that was signed while George Bush 43 was in office.
Mm-hmm.
And basically that UN treaty is nothing but the
Yeah, you know.
And they're saying it wouldn't affect the United States in any way, shape, form, or fashion. It was designed to get other countries, basically, to get caught up with the United States as far as what they do for people with disabilities.
Well, Barry, you know, they've had quite a few of the old school Republicans try to go there and talk to their brethren. Alan Simpson is one of them. You know, Bob Dole. They just they waved them off. You know, you don't know. Get out of here. You don't know what
Well, for that matter, George Herbert Walker Bush tried to talk to his son. Tried to talk him out of invading Iraq. So I mean, if father can't talk to son, what are people who just
because look, something really happened there, Barry, because George Bush doesn't have a damn word to say about Cheney. And if you see the HBO special about Cheney, it is something amazing. But I tell you, we thank Barbara Bush for coming out and saying, no, we had enough Bushes.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
Because only a mother knows, okay? But now, having said that, let me say this. You are listening to Let's Talk About It, Spreaker's #1 show for the most informative. I am the wild and wonderful Brenda White, and joining me to talk about it and helping me to always keep you informed is Barry K. Jackson, the Funkmeister of 90.1 FM KKFI. And we will be right back to finish talking about it. We've still got to talk about Rush Limbaugh, Anthony Weiner, and don't want to miss Rick, that fool down in Texas, the governor. Y'all know his name. I can't think of his name. Rick somebody. Rick the fool. Coming up. Stick and stay. Rick Perry. Stick and stay right here at Spreaker.com for Let's Talk About It for the next hour. Okay? Let's go. Brenda White of The Brenda White Shows, right here at Spreaker.com. And I would like to ask you something. What would you do if someone you loved had been wrongfully accused, tried, convicted, and imprisoned for a crime that they did not commit? Exactly. You would be screaming from the rooftops. Somebody help me. Somebody believe me. Somebody fight with me. They didn't do it. Well, that's exactly what happened to Gary Walker, David A. Banks, Kendrick Ken Barnes, Clinton A. Stewart, David A. Zerpolo, and Demetrius K. Harper, 5 black men and 1 white, whom we call the IRP6. We are on a mission. We are on a campaign to bring these 6 men home that have been unjustly imprisoned by a marriage between a corrupt corporation and a corrupt justice system. IRP is an acronym for Investigative Resource Planning. IRP Solutions was a small minority-owned company competing with large companies such as Lockheed Martin and International Business Machines, aka IBM, for multi-million-dollar government contracts. What should have been a civil litigation involving a debt collection case filed by staffing agencies turned into a criminal fraud case pursued by Denver Assistant U.S. Attorney Matthew T. Kirsch, tried in a federal court and resulted in the IRP6 being sentenced to 7 to 11 years each in Florence Correctional Complex prison camp for mail and wire fraud. On October the 11th, 2011, Federal District Court Judge Christine Aguelo, 10th Circuit, Denver, Colorado, forced an IRP executive to take the witness stand against his will, violating his Fifth Amendment right. The IRP executive, Kendrick Barnes, was one of 6 defendants, 5 black, 1 white, in the federal case accused of mail and wire fraud. Barnes was forced to take the witness stand. Who among us that has a business doesn't have debt? The IRP acknowledged that the debt owed the staffing agencies was a legitimate one, and they were on the verge of selling their phenomenal security software to write that debt to law enforcement across the country, including the NYPD, the FBI, the CIA, DHS, aka Department of Homeland Security, etc. But when their offices were raided on that fateful day, nothing pertaining to the warrant, such as the financial records, were even taken. Only the information from their computers pertaining to the software product. Where I come from, down in the country, our response to something like this is, this has got more stank on it than a pot of chitlins. Now, to read the full story and get a complete understanding of this injustice, please visit www.freetheirp6.org. Meet these men and their families and then join the movement. Like our Facebook page, Free the IRP6, and then write on your social media pages at least once a day to show your solidarity. Free the IRP6. Let's bring these men home to their families where they belong. We thank you for listening, and we thank you for your support. This has been a Brenda White production right here at Spreaker, Spreaker.com.
Just look around and say, right, I'm right behind now. Just like the bridge over troubled water. I'll be there, lay me down. Just like the bridge over troubled water. I will lay me
Okay, y'all. So I hope you paid attention to that little ad that I gave to you. The IRP6, Free the IRP6. Please go over to my Facebook, to our Facebook page, Free the IRP6, and like the page for us. We need to bring these men home to their families where they belong. So just as we say in the church, govern yourselves accordingly. Okay, so let's get to our next topic. David Caper's favorite guy of the day right now is Governor Rick Perry down in Texas. I call him stupid so much and dumb so much, I couldn't even think of his name. Governor Dummy, Governor Stupid, and Barry being true to his word. He's supposed to help me out here. So he helped me by saying Perry. Oh, that's his name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Perry. Okay, because I call him Governor Stupid, Governor Dumb, Governor Fool, and I do it so much that I forgot his damn last name. But this is Governor Rick Perry, y'all, on abstinence. Now, y'all thought he looked dumb on stage back in 2000 and 2008 or so, as he was trying to 2012, as he was trying to run for the presidency. Y'all thought he looked stupid there, talking about, oop, 3 departments I'm getting rid of immediately when I get to the White House. The Department of
I can give you the exact quote.
Okay, give it to me.
That I'll tell you, it's 3 agencies of government. When I get there, that are gone.
What's that?
Commerce, education, and what's the third one there? Let's see. Okay, so commerce, education, and the third agency of government, I would do away with education. Let's see. I can't. Third one. I can't. Sorry. Oops.
That was Rick O'Berry. That was good. I can't remember. Oops. Oh my goodness. So, if you thought he had his best hour of dumbness, no, he didn't. Here he goes again. So y'all take a listen. This is Governor Rick Perry on abstinence, and then Barry and I will be back and comment on it. Okay, it's coming up. This is a long...
Why does Texas continue with abstinence education programs when they don't seem to be working? In fact, I think we have the 3rd highest teen pregnancy rate in the country among all the states.
Abstinence works.
But we are the 3rd highest teen pregnancy. We have the 3rd highest teen pregnancy rate among all states in the country. The questioner's point is, it doesn't seem to be working. Abstinence education.
It works. Maybe it's the way it's being taught or the way that it's being applied out there. But the fact of the matter is, it is the best form of to teach our children.
Can you give me a statistic suggesting it works?
I'm just going to tell you from my own personal life. Abstinence works. And the point is, if we're not teaching it, and if we're not impressing it upon them, then no. But if the point is, we're going to go stand up here and say, listen, y'all go have sex and go have the whatever is going on, and we'll worry with that. And here's the ways to have safe sex. I'm sorry, you can call me old-fashioned if you want, but that is not what I'm going to stand up in front of the people of the state of Texas and say that's the way we need to go and forget about abstinence.
That's not what with respect, Governor, that's not what the questioner is asking. The questioner is simply saying we're spending money on abstinence education. We're the 3rd highest teen pregnancy rate in the country. Is there a problem, disconnect between one and the other?
I don't know. Look, it gets in line with other programs that we have that we spend money on, and do they work 100% or do they work 5%? And that's a bigger and a better issue than, we have the 3rd highest teenage pregnancy rate. Are we, on the amount of money that we're spending, are we getting a return on that is appropriate?
Your belief is that we are.
I think that those are some dollars that are well spent. For instance, we're spending dollars to check kids for steroids, right? And what'd we find? 7, 15, and we spent X numbers of look, I'm not going to
You think that's a poor expenditure?
I'm saying that I'm trying to make a comparable here.
Yeah.
If that's a good expenditure, then I would suggest to you the dollars we're spending on abstinence education is a good expenditure.
What the hell was that?
I ain't got no clue. What was he talking about?
He was trying to point out that abstinence worked. As the reporter continuously pointed out to him that is not working. You have the 3rd highest teenage pregnancy rate in the country. It doesn't work. What he asked him was, did he plan on spending money somewhere else? instead of his abstinence program that he's throwing money after. Abstinence works. No, dog, it ain't working. If you are the third place winner of the highest teen pregnancy rate in the country, it's not working. You're in third place. That's like coming in third for Miss USA. You in third place, dog. You ain't far behind. And he continued, and then somebody whispered in his ear, trying to help him. There he was, just like he couldn't remember which department he was going to get rid of when he got to the White House. Absolutely ignorant. So what is your argument? I'm telling you, I'm asking you, and he kept saying, Governor, you're not addressing the question. The question is, are you going to put money somewhere else that could be spent, in a more helpful manner than throwing it after this teen pregnancy abstinence program that doesn't work? And he continued to say, it works. Governor, you're number 3rd in the nation with teen pregnancy. Texas is number 3. That means you're number 3. You got more pregnancies than the rest of the nation. Number 3. And he still, I can speak for myself. It works. You can't get pregnant. I'm sure you can speak for yourself. You ain't taking the abstinence courses. He is absolutely an idiot. Barry, listen, if I were white, I would crawl under the rug if he won the presidency. You talking about this nation being embarrassed, which I don't have to worry about it because Rick Perry's not going to be president. But
I got news for you. If
what?
You were white and he won the presidency, I would chase you under the rug.
Okay, let me say this, and I'm right about this. That boy is a fool.
I've seen this report, and I'm trying to get it to completely load. I got so many windows open on this computer of mine. But I think what he was doing more than anything else was stalling and not really wanting to answer the question. Because I'm looking at a report.
I'm not so sure he even understood the question. That boy's a fool.
Well, no, here's the thing.
Listen, David Capers is calling him. Y'all, I have to read out every now and then, y'all, from the chat room. David Capers is calling. Is that the Rick and Rick show, meaning Rick Scott, Rick Perry? Because, here in Florida, we got the next biggest fool. He started to try to, he threw $2 million. $2 million. That's going to help who? He threw $2 million at his abstinence program here.
Well, but here's the thing. With this SB 5 bill, this anti-abortion bill, because that's, let's face it, the whole thing about abstinence-only classes is really a smokescreen it's covered for this crazy anti-abortion bill that they passed down there.
Thank you, because listen, what's missing at the abstinence class are teens. Ain't nobody. Yeah. They are absent.
Well, here's the thing. If the bill passes, it's going to shut down a bunch of the women's clinics.
Absolutely.
Planned Parenthood, of course, is trying to tie them up and let.
Absolutely, and this is where our girl.
Here's the other part of it. They're saying that if you follow the money, as they say, from one of SB 5's restricted provisions to the Commission on Hospitals, that Perry's sister, Myla Perry Jones, had a major financial stake in. If the bill passes, only 5 Texas abortion clinics will remain open. Those that are already equipped as ambulatory surgical centers, advocates say. But the question remains whether the 420 other ambulatory surgical centers that exist in Texas begin performing the operation. Abortion rights advocates predict that the demand for the procedure won't disappear with the passage of the law.
No, it
won't.
won't.
That will be faced with that decision is United Surgical Partners International, based in Addison, Texas. Their vice president of governmental affairs is Myla Perry Jones, Governor Rick Perry's sister. run for governor, I just sit back and just live off this money that people like to come to us for the abortion.
The sad thing about this, Barry, is, we've already lived this chapter in life, and it's going to be horrible as young women become desperate and, accidentally killing themselves trying to trying to make these abortions happen. We've already lived through this where young women have died and lives were ruined. It's so sad that all of these men, nothing but these Republican men across the country, are standing up talking about our uteruses, and as Jackie, when Jackie was here, I always called them our uteruses. As they continue to talk about this stuff, us having vaginal probes and so on, and if they don't want to watch, just look away.
Yeah.
You're forced to go into the doctor, and he's forced to give you this vaginal probe and this sonogram, and it's the craziest thing I ever heard. I can't wait until 2014 is here for the election. I mean 16 is here. I can't wait until the election is here because this is we've got to see. I think the Republicans are going to pay a real price for this because this is crazy. And there are a lot of Republicans, especially women, who are standing up saying, wait a minute. Because, see, they're not worried about their families, Barry. They're going to be able to pay to send their daughters and stuff off to Europe to get an abortion.
Well, but see, it's going to be incumbent upon us to just start, really think in terms of having to drag people kicking and screaming to the polls in 2014. Mm-hmm. This is where we made a mistake. After Obama got elected in 2008, we basically sat back because the voter turnout in 2010 was 33%. Only 33%. That always works in favor of Republicans. It always has. That's how Bush 43 got in office over Michael Dukakis. People didn't go to the polls.
Well,
and of course, they just stole the election in 2000. But they, the Tea Party and the other radical elements of the GOP got control of the House of Representatives.
Well, now we outvoted them, Barry. I mean, more of our people showed up and stayed at the polls than theirs this year.
You're talking about for the presidential election?
Yes.
Well, I'm not talking about the presidential election.
Oh, okay. You're talking about.
I'm talking about the midterm.
Midterms, yes.
You elect most of your country.
Well, Barry, I think people are just really starting to understand how important the midterm elections are. They're understanding it now.
Well, they better understand because it's obvious. Obama won by at least won by a considerable margin over Romney.
Yes,
that was mainly because people got angry over the voting laws
laws that they were trying to. Yes,
but
these unjust.
You got our mainstream media back, basically trying to rock people right back to sleep for this midterm election.
Yeah, well, I don't believe
that they're back to making that argument that people really don't go out and vote during the midterm. I'm like, don't start that.
Yeah, well, this is where we have to kick in and start reminding people to vote. We have to start reminding people how important the midterm elections are. And so, but I really think, they really stepped it up here, these different governors in the states around throughout the nation, and these parliaments that had more Republicans in them. So I really believe that people have seen how important it is now. And this Moral Monday thing, this is a great thing. This is a great movement.
Without a doubt.
To let them know that you have got to turn out for your states. elections, for the governor, for the senators, for the congressman. You've got to turn out, because this is where this is why they continue to want states to have their own rights and run their country like they run their states like they want to. We don't want the federal government because if you have if your state is known traditionally for being Republican, then you can when they come down here, they got to live the way we want them to live. Mm-hmm. And that's why they want the states to have so much of their own rights. And that's exactly why the federal government cannot let them, because states that have a known track record for racism and making you count the jelly beans before you can vote, making you read the Constitution before you can vote or register to vote. That's exactly why the federal government has these rules against them.
Well, and they're not only doing that, but they're also
not against them, but for them.
Produce a birth certificate that they probably can't produce.
Yeah, a lot of older people can't produce birth certificates.
You got the governor of North Carolina who intends to sign that voter ID bill into law that's not allowing young people to register just before their 18th birthday.
Yeah, but you can go off to die in Afghanistan. They'll send your butt to war. And I understand why.
When he was asked about it, he said, "Well, I'm not familiar with that section of the bill."
Yeah, I didn't read it.
You intend to sign a bill that you're not even going to read.
Not even going to read. Now that's a lie. See, that's what, when they tell those lies like that, that's what makes me mad. Because it's a lie. Your party has talked to you about it.
Yeah, he probably helped craft that bill.
Of course he did.
He already knows the content.
Yeah, he's catching a little heat for when he ran for the job. He stood up. Well, he sat there in front of a TV camera, and they asked him what new abortion laws did he intend to invoke on the state, and he's none. Very sharply, very, very matter-of-factly, none. Mm-hmm. And now, they have some folks in the state who are bringing a lawsuit against him for telling that lie and then signing this bill. Yeah. It's an amazing thing, and that's why we have got to be aware and alert, and we can't stop fighting, y'all. I know you get tired, but we got to go every time we see this, sign the petition for something that we're fighting for. Then we got to take a minute and go sign the petition, because when they see the numbers, if they get 1 million or 2 million signatures on something and saying, well, this is how the country feels about that, that's when you can scare them up, because they want to be reelected.
Not only that, they know that I will go in and these folks in Kansas City definitely know me. They know I'll walk in, really, in 08, I walked around basically the McCain territory looking for Obama voters. Didn't care about what kind of response I got.
Okay.
In fact, every response they gave, I had one back for them. You can't come through this apartment complex for listening. I said, I'm not. I'm canvassing.
Okay.
I said, do you know the difference between the two? I said, they're both three syllable. I think it's, canvassing. They're both 3-syllable words. I have a chalk.
Soliciting, canvassing. Say it with
I'm going to call the cops. I said, I got a better idea. Let me call them. Pull a cell phone out, call the cop out there. Go, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what he's accusing me of. The cop turned around and slabbed with me and then asked for some literature.
Okay.
So I don't care. But
yeah.
You got to get out there. Like I said, we need to drag people to the polls.
We cannot stop fighting, Barry, no matter what. We cannot stop fighting, and that's all to it. Now, let's get to, okay, so we just had our little laugh about Rick Perry and abstinence and his abstinence program that he's throwing, wasting money. It doesn't work.
Right.
He couldn't even tell you how it worked. He couldn't give you any numbers on yes, we are very proud of our abstinence program, and it has 89% good good thing award. He couldn't even say that.
Well,
He couldn't give you no numbers because it was a complete and total failure.
Well, you have to keep in mind, this is a man that got up before the American people. I said the reason we fought the American Revolution in the 16th century was to get away from that kind of onerous crown, if you will.
In the 16th century.
Now, if I remember right, it was the 18th century. The 1700s are always considered, whatever year you're in, it's always, whatever year you know that you're living in, it's always in the century from the years ahead.
That's right.
It's ahead.
So whether he knows or not when the Civil War was fought,
he didn't know when the American Revolution was
when the
fought.
American Revolution was fought. I mean, okay, he's just dumb, Barry. I'm convinced he's just dumb.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes down to the fact. But I mean, it's a Republican trait. Keep in mind, Michelle Bachmann going to Waterloo, Iowa, and saying that when she announced her candidacy, because she's supposedly from Waterloo, Iowa, and she goes there and says, "Hey, I'm glad to be here in the hometown of John Wayne." It's John Wayne, all right, but not John Wayne the actor.
Yeah, John Wayne Gacy.
It was the hometown of John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah,
serial killer.
The serial killer.
But then you look at her and you see
he had 13 boys by his house. Yeah, she's ate up, and my first big fun with her on Facebook was when she jumped out somewhere and announced "Happy Birthday, Elvis," and it was the day of his death.
Yeah.
And man, you talking about funny. The people wanted to scream, but they were like, "Oh,
yeah." Now, but getting back to Rick Perry, another great quote of his. No greater example of it than this administration sending millions of dollars into the solar industry, and we lost that money. I want to say it was over $500 million that went to that country, Solyndra. Solyndra is not a country. Okay? It was a company, not a country. It was a
company. And they tried to make that Barack Obama's baby. That was his baby.
Wait a minute now. I've got another one from Rick Perry. Since we were talking about him.
Okay.
I trust those independent school districts to make those decisions better than 8 unelected and, frankly, unaccountable judges. Rick Perry getting the number of Supreme Court justices wrong because there are 9.
Didn't I tell you he's stupid?
Okay.
Barry, you can say some things that slip of the tongue every now and then, but this is not slips of the tongue. This man just doesn't know.
But this is also the same man that got up in front of his supporters just a month or two after Obama was elected to his first term, talking about Texas seceding from the Union. And what was so bad about it, there were a few people, you could hear, there were some people cheering, you could hear a few other folks saying, well, go ahead.
Barry, I'm telling you.
I've got no Facebook told my friends, hey, something, if you live in Texas, get out because, especially after 2012 when there was another call for succession from the Union.
Yeah, I said to Jackie many times on this show, isn't secession against the law?
Well, you have to ask for permission.
I thought that Abraham Lincoln made that an unlawful act to call for secession.
Yeah, but if I was Obama, as cool as he is, I probably would say, fine, we'll just sell you to Mexico.
Okay. Y'all want to leave so bad.
In fact, you can take that state with that ugly woman governor over there in Arizona with you.
David Capers is still he can't stop laughing at Michelle Bachmann. He's still laughing. Happy birthday, Elvis! Ooh, no, that was the day he died.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a terrible day. Okay, so let's get on. We got 25 minutes left, baby. Let's talk about. Tell me all about Don Lemon and Bill O'Reilly.
Well, apparently Bill O'Reilly had made some comments, and all of this is in the wake of the verdict about the George Zimmerman trial.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there's been all of this, arguing back and forth about, well, you know, how young black men look so threatening, and that's the reason why you have these kind of situations.
Mm-hmm. That's why he had to kill him.
Something wrong with your culture, and all of that. And Don Lemon basically agreed with him, and said that, in fact, he even said that Bill O'Reilly didn't go far enough. So he decided that he was in a position to give some advice on, you know, how young black males can not seem so threatening
Mm-hmm.
to white people. And he said O'Reilly's really got a point about black people. You know, he quit using the N-word, as he says, quit sagging, that type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
get an education. And he doesn't speak to, but the problem is he doesn't speak to, you know, a lot of the conditions that, you know, basically create.
Yeah, and what he was talking about, that is still no reason to kill our children.
No.
Sagging pants, hat turned backwards, bumpity bump
No.
music, that's no reason to kill these kids. That is such BS.
Well, you know,
Teenagers
and
are.
he talks about what it was like growing up gay and being a gay black man in Louisiana. And, you know, I was reading, you know, a lot of that I didn't see right off when I was trying to do the research for this until I got to an essay by Dr. Boyce Watkins, and he said, look, you know, I'm sorry you went through that, but that's no reason for you to turn around, use your position to then vent your anger on Black America, all of Black America.
Yeah.
You know, because you went through that.
And I mean, and he was talking about them in a very negative tone.
Well, he also went on a little media junket too. He showed up on The View Monday, you know, trying to justify his comments, and of course, Whoopi looked at him like, you know,
like he done lost his damn mind.
Yeah, you know, I was going to use another euphemism. Nevertheless, like she was kind of like she probably looked at me, nigga, please.
It's okay.
But you know, for him, it's not that he sided with Bill O'Reilly, and it's not that everything Bill O'Reilly said was wrong. It's just, Bill, you're in no position to tell black people how to live.
About nothing. Talk to your white serial killing brothers. Shit.
You know, not only the serial killers, but the mass murderers. And oh, by the way, remember when you all decided that there were going to be violent riots in the streets after the Zimmerman verdict?
Oh, they had us all pegged for that one, didn't they?
And when it didn't happen, what was the conversation then? And how come there hasn't been a lot of coverage? Well, CNN finally did a story. For the most part, it was a station out of L.A.
Mm-hmm.
that talked about the rioting white people out there in Huntington Beach, California. After, you know, at the end of a multi-day surfing and skateboarding competition. You know, people start out with a fight, and next thing you know, they knock it over porta potties. And, destroying city vehicles. And,
yes, tonight on Chris Hayes, and he asked, you know, where's the media? You know, where are the white folks talking about this? You know, Bill O'Reilly ain't talking about that because see what we know, Barry, to be true is that all of our kids do this. It doesn't have a color barrier, you know. All of our kids, young folks, do this kind of stuff, especially when they're angry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that, you know, even the National Crime Statistics show that white people are 6 times more likely to kill another white man than black people.
Yes, they are.
Than anybody.
And we get that from what? The facts, statistics. Yeah. They're keeping up with this shit. And white men kill more white men than black on black crime.
Absolutely.
Kill more than anybody. You're serial killers.
Well, yeah, you know.
And you are most certainly mass murders of black and white folks.
Yeah.
So, Here's what I got to say about that. You know, this is not the time. They used Trayvon Martin to come out with this topic. That is not the issue at hand. We are talking about all the folks now that have the right to come out and kill our sons. We are not talking about communities where y'all have put black folks in houses on top of each other like rats and no jobs. All they're faced with is drugs, and you're not even going out there to try and stop the drug use. You just let them kill each other. What I mean, what are they?
Let's talk about the.
What do you expect them to do?
The illegal gun sales. I mean, these kids are not making these guns.
As we talked about drugs, same thing. You know, these Black Panthers and stuff were saying this way back when. Black folks didn't have no boats and barges and stuff to bring the drugs that come in this country. We didn't have the planes. We still don't have them. And so who's really supplying this country with all these drugs and all of these guns? We know who that is, like Bernie Mac said. You know, black folk, we ain't gonna blow up a damn thing. In the first place, where are we gonna get some dynamite? They ain't gonna sell it to us.
Not only, no, I mean, the thing of it is, it this really speaks to a lot of them. To me, it speaks to why they're so against background checks on private gun sales. And they want to be able to flood our community with guns.
That's exactly right.
You know, I mean, I not only want them to be able to do the background. Come on, well, criminals can always get the guns. Yeah, but just selling them to them.
Oh, that's right, and they don't want to stop selling them to them. Now, David Capers,
they're not stealing all the guns, breaking it. You know, not in all cases are black criminals breaking in white people's houses and stealing guns.
I'll just say it like this: I'd rather if y'all would just sweep up around your own door before you come talking about what we need to do in our neighborhood. And little Don Lemon, let me just Don Lemon came under fire on Saturday when he said that he agreed with Bill O'Reilly's comments about black people. O'Reilly recently went on a rant about problems in the black community, which how's that affecting him? He doesn't live there, does it? And he doesn't give a damn, so why is he even talking about it? Which he blamed on the disintegration of the African American family, the drug situation, and the entertainment industry for promoting gangster culture. MSNBC's Chris Hayes later slammed the comment as super racist. Absolutely, Chris, because if you look at this drug thing, so many white kids get let off the hook. Folks got so much money that we don't ever hear about them and all their rest, but they are the most pill-popping, drug-taking folks on the planet.
Well, and of course, they don't just depend on what might get shipped into the country. They go to the convenience store and buy up all the
And what did they do with our gangster culture? Take it from us and make millions on it. Don't want to pay us for it. It's just amazing stuff. And I thought he had, all you need to do is keep your mouth closed on this subject.
Yeah.
Lemon, however, seemed to be of a different mind on the matter. After replaying a clip on O'Reilly's remarks on Saturday, he agreed with the Fox News host, saying he's got a point. In fact, he's got more than a point. In my estimation, he doesn't go far enough. Black people, if you really want to fix the problem, here's just 5 things that you should think about doing. Lemon continued. Those 5 things, he said, were hiking up their pants, finishing school, not using the N-word, taking care of their communities, and not having children out of wedlock. Oh, really?
Yeah.
And you could place all of that right back into a white community, any white community.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not our community problem. This is a world problem. This is an issue with our young people because we advertise anything and everything to them.
Yeah.
our movies that we show. This ain't no black. That ain't no black thing. Pulling up our pants. I see white boys the same way, just as scary. And white boys today love calling each other nigga. They think that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I was at a movie once, me and my girlfriend, and we're standing there. We're ordering some popcorn and stuff before the movie starts. And these white boys said something to each other, and they said, "Nigga, please, nigga, what you talk about?" And I jerked my head around. And I'm assuming the fighting position. Who you talking to? They were talking to each other, and they thought they were cool.
Yeah.
And just like Trayvon called Zimmerman a creepy ass cracker, he called him a nigga 3 or 4 times. This nigga still follow me. That's just the way they speak. I have mixed feelings about the word nigga. I use it with my family. We have big laughs, and Judge Mathis said it like this. In our community, that phrase is used in many times, in many forms, but it is used to show endearment in most cases. Hey, my nigga, John, what's up, my niggas is here? That's just the way we use. So everybody's got their thing on whether we should stop saying or not. But after how many years, my advice is still to white folks: don't step up to one of us and say it. But it's our word, damn it. And if we want to use it, we can use it.
Well, my whole thing is, when it comes.
And I don't know what you feel about the word nigga bear, but you can tell us if you want.
I prefer it not to be. If I say it even about another black person, I'm not trying to be nice to him.
Oh, that's true. And then
white folks definitely don't get a pass.
No, y'all don't get a pass to use that word.
No.
And that's another thing. Stay out of our business on that. Just because we use the word nigga, that's not your word. You can't use our word. Well, you can use it amongst yourself if you want to, but I wouldn't advise you step in front of a black person.
Now, if I'm doing if I'm reciting some poetry by the last poets, or Hakeem Matabuti, or somebody who was, was really in it back during the '60s and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, hey, it was written into the poem. I can't do nothing about that.
Right. And I don't think that word is ever going away. As we grow, we feel differently about it. Different people in our community, we feel differently about it as we grow. I myself, I'm straddled the fence on it, really.
Well, my attitude changed with Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
Pryor changed with it.
Yeah, and that was Richard Pryor's. He had his epiphany, but before that, he made that word lovable to us and fun to us, and made it okay for us, because they had called us that for so long, and it had such a derogatory, a thing all over it. Richard Pryor really made it okay for us.
Yeah.
And we really learned to laugh about it, and then he had an epiphany, and that's okay. But I like Judge Mathis.
Because of a situation that happened when I was growing up. I mean, my dad, like I said, he was involved in real estate. He ran into one of his white colleagues in real estate at a gas station, and they got to it. They said hi and make a little small talk. Dad asked, "Well, how's things going?" And I guess this white dude was trying to say, well, if it had been smart, he probably at the time he would say, well, I've got some other people working with me, because they're trying to sell houses to some blacks so that they could kind of basically helping blacks to move further, out of the area to where at one time we were restricted to, and so. But it came out, well, I got some nigga. He got the first syllable out. And my father hit this man in his mouth. It's flat.
Yeah, well, you see, that's why he can't use that.
Yeah.
That's our word.
Yeah.
And we can use it whenever and however we want, but that's our word. And so I lean to the side of Judge Mathis, and one day I may see it differently like you and Richard Pryor does. But until he saw it differently, You know, he turned it into a whole bunch of fun and love for us. And I agree with when someone uses something against you, you know, to make lemonade of it. So, having said that, we have 10 minutes left, and now let me announce our who is of the top of our Negro Please list of the week. Can you guess who it is?
Oh, Rick Perry was up there.
Nope. Rick Perry is not the Negro Please. He's not the Negro. He doesn't make the Negro Please list top.
Well, look, you are the host. You are the.
So let me just tell you.
And I almost said HNIC, but
that's right. The HNIC I am, and we're not gonna tell y'all what that means. If you don't know what the HNIC is, you don't need to know. We'll leave that right there, right there. If they don't know what it is, ain't no need us telling them. But since I am,
you can't afford it.
That's right. Since what's that there? That's like if you ask the cost, then you can't afford it. What? How much is it? That's okay. You can't afford it. Yeah. So if you don't know what HINC means, there's no need for us to tell you. But it is true. I am what Barry says. I am. And having said that, drum roll, please. The Negro who makes the Negro Please list, the top of it this week, is our boy Anthony Weenie and his Weenie and his Johnson. Boy, if you don't go somewhere and
oh man,
Barry, what? I wanna. I'm trying to speak here, but I can't get it out.
Well,
what is wrong with him, Barry?
I do want to point something out, and that's that the GOP thinks they're really determined to retake control of the Senate in the 2014 midterm elections, and they fear Bill Clinton as a popular fundraiser and vote getter for the Senate Democrats, and so they're plotting to try to use Anthony Weiner as somebody who would make voters be afraid to go hear Bill Clinton speak.
Look,
because of Bill Clinton's past.
Bill Clinton has already traveled his road, and he's got nothing to worry about. And I think he's a little too old to be hoeing now, so he's straight. But and we knew he was a hoe when he came in. Yeah, we knew that.
But the other thing about it too is, I mean, for Anthony Weiner, even that name. Damn.
Why is he showing his weenie?
He can't help that, but the fact remains, it really gets bad when Elliot Spitzer says, "I ain't voting for him."
Okay.
If Elliot Spitzer is in a position to get out in front.
Elliot ain't got no respect for him. Let me tell you why. Cause at least Elliot, he paid for his hoes. He was getting a little something. This man done brought down his whole he done brought down his whole life, his wife's life. He done fucked this kid up for life, because that kid's not gonna go to kindergarten, junior high, high school, college, or nothing without somebody fucking with him about his daddy's weenie.
Yeah, he's a
and not to don't forget that the kid is named Wiener too.
Well, the other thing about it too is
he gonna have to change his name. I'm telling you, before he go to school.
What I was trying to say was, back in the 70s, we had flashers.
Yeah.
And streakers. And I'm sorry, we had streakers.
That's right, streakers.
But this boy, he's a cyber flasher.
Yeah, cyber flasher. Little old freaky cyber flasher.
He gets caught. He tried to lie about it. He even spent $45,000 on a private detective to try to figure out where did his story about him,
Yeah, how'd they find out?
As if he had known full well that he was doing it.
Yeah, he spent this money to find out who hacked his account.
Yeah.
What difference does it make? You shouldn't have had your weenie out here, and they asked this some bitch just last week, they asked him, how many more incidents are there? How many more women are there? When was the last time you flashed your weenie across the internet? And he looked over at Yuma like, honey, when was the last time? And she was looking back at him like, some bitch, I don't know. And she was looking like, yeah, that's a good question. Tell us, oh husband of mine, when was the last time you flashed your Johnson on the internet? You know, that's how she was looking at him. And he looked at her like she absolutely had the answer. Honey, like when was the last time we looked for a house, baby? You know?
Yeah.
When the news reporter asked him, when was the last time you flashed your shit? And there he was. I don't know. Of course he knows. Sickos like that, I'm telling you, he has the list of women he's talked to. I tell you, he's got a cyber diary somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I promise you.
That he was keeping going while he was allegedly in counseling.
Okay, you sick son bitch. If I could have been if I could have done this thing and had the time to do it, I was looking for. I wanted to get Forrest Gump, running, and get him. And put his head on Forrest Gump's shoulder, or put Yuma's head on Forrest Gump's shoulder and say, run, Yuma, run. She needs to leave this sick-son bitch now. And there she is standing there just looking like a deer in the headlights as they asked him, when was the last time you did it?
Mm-hmm.
And he looks over at her like they were talking about, when was the last time you bought a house? Honey, when was that we last went looking for a house, you know? He's just looking at her. And she's looking like.
Do you remember what I had on what I had with my cheeseburger?
Yeah. That's how he's looking at her. And then they said, "How many was it? Do you remember how many?" It was. I knew he was lying when he came off this way. He could have immediately said, "I don't know," but that's not what he said. Why? Because he does know. He looked at her again. It wasn't dozens and dozens and dozens like the news media says. Just tell us how many was it. That's all we want to know. The minute he started that pimp tap dance, I knew he was lying. He knows.
I will say this.
6 to 10. It wasn't dozens and dozens and dozens. Then I guarantee you right then, it was 2 dozen.
That's when Chuck Barrett should have come up out of his grave and hit that gong on him.
You are absolutely right there. If y'all didn't understand what Barrett said, he said that is when Chuck should have come up out of his grave and hit that gong on him. Boom. Absolutely. Because I'm telling you, you can always tell when somebody's lying or they're getting ready to pimp talk you when the answer is so simple. How many were there?
Or just like on America's Got Talent. As soon as he said,
okay. Your time's up. I'll sing another one. No, dog, don't sing another one. Your time is up. You sound like shit, and singing another song ain't gonna help you and keep you from sounding like shit.
Come on out there with that chair and that little cat whistle and just chase him off the stage.
Hey, look, Barry, I would be totally in favor for Tattoo entering at the room right about then to cap him in the knees.
Hey, telling you.
Every time you tell a lie, we gonna hit you in your kneecap. Okay, y'all. So we we have had all of our fun for tonight, and we will be back next Tuesday night. You have been listening to Let's Talk About It, Spreaker's #1 political talk show. We are the most informative, and we did win the Uverse Award for that. I am the wild and wonderful Brenda White, and helping me to talk about it and always helping me to keep you informed is my co-host of the co-host, Barry K. Jackson of 90.1 FM, KKFI, the Funkmeister. And Barry, when can we see you? When can we hear you on the radio?
Tuesday mornings at 10 a.m. That's when the funk starts and the fusion follows.
Okay, and if y'all are looking for Barry and you want to join him at the funk party every Tuesday and Monday?
That's Tuesday mornings. The show's called the Tuesday Midday Message, and you can
Every Tuesday morning. Okay.
online at www.kkfi.org.
Okay. Did y'all hear that? WKKI.org. Okay. So www.
It's on the World Wide Web. www.
That's right. KKFI.org. Okay. So y'all got that. And you can look Barry up on Facebook. Barry K. Jackson, all right? And you can hit me up too. And if you want to give us a question that you want to hear the answer to or hear us talk about next Tuesday night, hit us up, leave the question in our inbox, anything you want to do, and we will listen. We will check back in with you next Tuesday night from 9 until 11 p.m. Eastern Time every Tuesday night. And tomorrow night, I don't cuss. You can join me as I am the host of Words of Inspiration and Prayer from the Altar with Pastor Mitty Collier. And then Thursday night, oh my goodness, Spreaker's triple threat in full effect. DJ David Capers, Brenda White, and DJ Tony Sanchez. We bring it to you in a row, back to back, beginning at 6 o'clock in the evening. And then Friday night, all night long, 10 continuous hours. David Capers, Brenda White, David Capers, After Hours, DJ Tony Sanchez, 3 to 5 in the morning with the Love Doctor, baby. It's 10 hours right here at Spreaker.com for the best music on the net. So y'all jump over to Facebook, Brenda Pearl White, like Anime Bullet. I look like Tina Turner. And you can find me, and you can find any show you're looking for to hear us here at Spreaker.com, the #1 broadcasting network on the net. Okay? All right. I love you. We're out of here. Thank you. So I will see you tomorrow night. Whatever. Okay, bye. I'm out. See you, Daddy. Boom, boom. We are out.